Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man. How you doing? It's almost 11:20. I know. Here in western Iowa on a Tuesday morning, November 12th. Good morning. And yeah, two times I've done this, and both times there was no audio. So if there's no audio this time, I give up. I think I have the settings right. We will find out soon enough. I want to start out with the GFS because there's some really interesting things on here, and this may be the main event. Try not to bore you too much with what's going on. And the cool thing about the audio not working is I have the latest GFS run. Now, I always use the latest GFS run, but since it's later in the day, we actually have the 12Z run instead of the 0Z run. So this was initiated at 6 o'clock this morning. This first frame at 18Z is basically noon o'clock Central Time, which is, 40 minutes from now. All right, so we have a little bit of snow with an approaching storm for the Pacific Northwest, but kind of quiet across the area. A little bit of rain down here in southern Mississippi. And as we go through the day today, we see a little bit of light snow into the Rockies and rain increasing along the Oregon and Washington coast with some snow inland. This gets us to midnight tonight. A few light showers here in Kansas down to Oklahoma, parts of Texas as well. A little bit of light snow here in the Rockies. All right, so as we go through time, here's our rain overnight tonight for western Iowa into Minnesota, back into Missouri. We're seeing rain increase in Louisiana up the Mississippi River to near Memphis into western Tennessee. This is going to be a lot of rain here, and we'll show you what's expected. But as we go through the GFS, you can just see showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain moving into Indiana, southern Illinois, Kentucky, again, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and quite heavy here in western Tennessee. So watch out, cuz. Meanwhile, a storm system moving in the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow here. And our light rain in Iowa has moved off. And so now we're into Thursday, almost into Thursday here as we go. And the heavy rainfall in the south and the Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, a little bit of Ohio down near Cincinnati getting some heavy rain. And that is moving off to the east. So light rain up here in the Great Lakes, so still a little bit heavier, but lightening up in the southeast and then mid-Atlantic as it heads on out. Then things quiet down a little bit, but we start to see a little bit more with a system off the California coast. So snow a little further south into Nevada and California, and then snow increasing for southern Idaho. Will Boise get some snow? Well, maybe a little bit. It's pretty light, but perhaps. Snow increasing into eastern Idaho and into, what's Yellowstone Park's right about here. So we're seeing a little bit more snow. This gets us into late Friday now. And then as we go into Saturday, starting to warm up a little bit in the plains, southerly breeze here, but cold air dropping straight south on the west. So we see that 540 line getting further and further south here, and we're going to see that trough drop straight down here, and our pattern's going to change just in time for a week before Thanksgiving and into Thanksgiving. In the meantime, Sunday, almost Sunday, we see some snow up here in North Dakota, another storm system for the Pacific Northwest, and watch this area down here. We're starting to see the beginnings of it here in Arizona, New Mexico, as a system moves into that area and just explodes with rain and some mountain snows here. Arizona, New Mexico, far west Texas. Big Pacific Northwest storm with heavy rain and heavy snow. This is evening on Sunday. And as we go further into Sunday and Monday, heavy rain. Lubbock to Amarillo into Oklahoma, Kansas. Snow moving further inland in the west. Maybe another chance at snow for Boise. This low really getting its act together as this cold air is dropping along the Pacific coast. And so this is a lot of rain. Kansas into Nebraska, trailing through Oklahoma into Texas. This is Monday afternoon. Monday evening, Heavy rain moving into Nebraska and where I live here in western Iowa, Kansas, Oklahoma, lingering into Texas, Missouri. Heavy rainfall moving into western Iowa, into the rest of Iowa. And then that low continues off to the north. A little bit of snow on the north side as we get into early Tuesday morning. Little snow lingering back here, but again, here's our 540 line. So you can see how far south that cold air is getting. Right along the coast of Oregon and Washington even. So some very cold air dropping straight south on the west coast. This low continues into the Great Lakes, and we see another system possibly forming in the Rockies. And we see that low, well, a low, moving into Oklahoma with some showers and storms, and we're seeing a hurricane show up heading towards Florida. Is this nuts or what? All right, cold air dropping into the plains. That 540 line all the way into the Texas Panhandle now. Snow on the light side, but getting near Omaha and near where I live, but it's very light, and some strong north winds with that cold air. And as we continue, we see heavy rain here. Memphis, western Tennessee, Mississippi. This is Wednesday. And here's a hurricane heading towards Florida. So this is 8 days from now. So uncertainty is still there. Remember, it was it was the later run yesterday. The GFS had a lot more snow here in western Iowa. So we'll see what this run has. And then that hurricane, that's just nuts. All right. So what we're going to end up with heavy snow on eastern Iowa and into Wisconsin, light snow back for South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, and western Iowa, but very heavy snow for eastern Iowa into Wisconsin. Meanwhile, our hurricane crosses Florida and some heavy rain for the south and another system approaching the northwest. And look how far south this 540 line is. This is cold air pressing down into the middle of the country now, all the way through Arkansas into North Texas. So cold air, north winds blowing, heavy rain in parts of Iowa into Wisconsin, lighter further west. And this is going to pile up if this comes true. And very strong winds too, so blowing around, although it'll probably be wetter snow. And then heavy rainfall, moving across the Tennessee Valley into the Ohio Valley and into the southeast. This gets us to Thursday the 21st in the morning as it continues to snow in eastern Iowa, now moving into Missouri, into Kansas, into Oklahoma, getting some snow down into Arkansas. This 540 line is all the way through Louisiana and all the way through most of Tennessee. So very cold air spilling into the southeast with snow on the backside of this low and strong winds too. And the low's not moving very quickly, and some very heavy rain and snow now moving into Pennsylvania, New York State. This gets us to the 22nd, and we're only 6 days away from Thanksgiving. At this point, lingering snow still on the backside. The 540 line now is halfway through Alabama and Georgia, through Atlanta. So this is going to be a very cold outbreak for this time of year. And you see another lobe of energy rotating around this huge area of low pressure. So a little bit of light snow moving into Missouri and then Arkansas, trying to move into Tennessee, Kentucky. I don't know if it'll stay snow. Yeah, a little bit of snow busting out, at least for eastern Tennessee, not too far from Nashville, and then, of course, in the mountains here. And so, again, then the 540 line very far south. And then that cold air continues off to the east now. And again, very far south into the southeast, most of the country. Pretty darn cold for this time of year. And there you see a little bit of light snow for Tennessee and Kentucky. And so this is just, pretty dramatic if this run comes true. And then things quiet down when you get ready to go over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house. Not too bad. This is Thanksgiving Eve. A little bit of snow in Colorado and New Mexico. Otherwise, pretty quiet. And this gets us to midnight. And here's Thanksgiving morning. So some rain busting out, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. And we'll see if it comes true. As you know, we get further out in time and the uncertainty increases. So we'll keep you posted. That's what we do. All right, let's get back to our regular maps, I guess. This is your 24-hour temperature change as this morning. So cooler in the Great Lakes and east and southeast and west. Still a little bit warmer in the center part of the country. Hazards this morning, we were looking at wind, the main issue in the west, although winter weather advisories for the Oregon Cascades, winter storm watches for northern Washington state, a little bit of wind in South Dakota, and our red flag warnings in the east. The surface for today, you see the mess in the west with rain, snow, depending on elevation and location. Rain moving into the plains. It won't get to western Iowa till tonight, so that'll be later tonight. Scattered showers and storms in the plains and also for the southeast. A little bit of rain and snow. New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, and Maine. Severe weather today, possibility in the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and maybe even a slight chance of tornadoes east of Lubbock and east of Plainview, west of Childress. 2% risk here, so if you're in that area, have a way to get warnings. Our below average temperatures, the most below is where we're still melting snowpack in eastern Colorado. But much of the east below average, much of the west below average, much of the east above average, except for the northeast, a degree or two below. Highs today, 40s and 50s, Great Lakes, 40s and 50s northeast, 40s and 50s northern plains, 60s as you get into the central plains, 70s for the southern plains and the southeast, 40s and 50s for the west for the most part, and 70s in southern Arizona where the snowbirds are going. Lows tomorrow morning, pretty low in the west. We do see quite a few teens here, and especially in the Rockies with elevation, you'll be even colder than that. 40s along the coast, middle of the country, 40s and 50s for the most part. A few 60s along the Texas Gulf Coast to start the day. Surface tomorrow. Rain in the plains, moving into the Midwest and Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. Scattered showers and storms for the southeast, the west with another system moving in. Severe for tomorrow, Louisiana, Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, and the chance for tornadoes. Louisiana, Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, 2% risk here, so be careful. And I forgot, on this severe weather map, look at Oregon, Washington, Northern California, a marginal risk for severe weather. Really unusual for severe weather on the west coast, but it could happen tomorrow. Tomorrow's anomalous temperatures, again, much below eastern Colorado, melting snow, and a little bit cooler for the mid-Atlantic into the southeast here. And those highs are in the 50s and 60s. So, yeah. And so 70s and 80s for Florida, 70s and 80s for Texas, 62 Amarillo would be the exception there. Well, 66 Lubbock. And then cooler, of course, as you head north into the plains, but pretty warm even for the Ohio Valley still, 50s and 60s as you get into Tennessee. All right, 48-hour precipitation. This is kind of dramatic. If you live in western Tennessee or in Kentucky or Mississippi or Alabama or even southern Illinois, you could see 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain here. For the Pacific Northwest, even more. And of course, in the mountains, that'll fall as heavy snow. As we get into Thursday, another system for the Pacific Northwest with rain along the coast, maybe even some storms. And then rain or snow depending on elevation and location again for the interior. Interesting in the east, some cold air trapped at the surface. West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, a chance for some freezing rain as we get into Thursday. Thursday, much below average as you get into the mid-Atlantic parts of the southeast, still below average melting snow in Colorado, much above average for the northern plains, and a little bit above average for the rest of the plains. And so much above average for the northern plains is still 40s and 50s. So it's supposed to be cold this time of year. So this is rather mild for them. And then 60s for the central plains all the way down into Texas. A few 70s further south and into Louisiana, Mississippi, and into Florida, a couple 80s. But very pleasant, really. for the most part until you get like mid-Atlantic, and then north, you're getting more into the 40s here, and some coolness in the west as well. Let's go to our 8 to 14 day temperatures. And below average temperatures, a good bet for where that trough is going to dig in the west and then sit in the Four Corners for a day and move out to the plains eventually. But so November 19th through 25th, below average temperatures, a very good bet for New Mexico, Arizona, far west Texas, and expanding out from that, and above average for the east. Precipitation wise, best chance for above average would be Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, down into the southeast and Florida, but really the eastern, almost 2/3 of the country, with a chance, above average chance of above average rainfall. We'll take it. Maybe even some snow thrown in, as we've seen. We'll see how all that plays out. All right, forecast. Oh, I forgot to mention Alaska, above average, like a really good chance for above average precipitation here. You know that's snow, except for when you get down to Juneau and the Aleutians, maybe some rain, but much of the Alaska, especially the interior, a good chance of snow. Hawaii, rain. All right, Friday, Saturday, Sunday highs. Friday, warm in the middle of the country and southeast, cool in the northeast and northwest. Saturday, a little cooler in the west as our cold air starts to invade. A little warmer in the center of the country as that trough digs, and it's going to bubble up some, high pressure is going to build into the plains for warmer temperatures. And very pleasant for, say, the mid-Atlantic. Southeast is really nice too. Northeast getting cool. And then Sunday, a little cooler now for the northern and central plains as some cold air starts to move into the plains and the west, but still warm in Texas and the southeast, cooling off as you head north from there. And then we'll do the highs on the 23rd. You ready? You sitting down? These are the highs on the 23rd. And I probably should have redone this map because I think we're getting colder with each run as the computer models are starting to pick up on this cold air. But even this, for Saturday the 23rd, very chilly in the plains and starting to cool off further to the east into the southeast. In fact, let me do this. Let me see if I can. I don't know. I was going to pull up some temperatures here. These will be high temperatures as we get into, say, the 25th. Let's try that. So the 25th temperatures, these are highs, right? 30s to near 40, Ohio Valley into Kentucky, into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, 30s all the way down into Missouri, even parts of Arkansas, below freezing in the plains, and those 40s, the 30s to near 40, getting into the northeast. So these are the highs for Sunday the 24th. Yeah, it's coming. Winter, we can't put it off. It's going to arrive, and maybe for some just in time for Thanksgiving. We'll keep you posted, of course. Each subsequent run is going to get us closer, and we'll be able to dial this in and have a more sure forecast as we get closer. But this is kind of what the models are thinking right now. All right, hopefully there's audio. If there is, it's posted. If there's not, it's in the trash again. But this is my last attempt no matter what. But we will see you tomorrow right here on the Weather Mic. Thanks for tuning in.